what I'm seeing in the marketplace is there's probably more leaning towards it being an owner-occupier at this current point.
So if that was the case, I think that we should really work on the prettiness, because we know that women buy properties, and even if they're not the person signing the dotted line, they're the ones that make that emotional decision about a property.
You're listening to the She Renovates podcast. You're listening to She Renovates, the podcast for women who want to renovate to create an income and a life they love.
Hello everyone. So I have my dear friend and occasional co-host, Jo Vadillo. Firstly, she's the owner of Property Women. She's also the founder or co-founder and co-owner of Advocate Property Services, which is a property strategy and sourcing service. That explain you? Yeah, with her gorgeous husband, Greg. And make sure you tell him I said that.
I will. I'll pass it.
And so we're here today to nut out a renovation plan. We thought this might be something that interests you. So Jo, we had a chat last week and she said, I'm planning this reno. And what's good about this is this is a part of a micro development. So you hear me talking about that a lot. And so basically what Jo has done is bought a block with a house on it that's big enough to subdivide. She's actually built 2 dwellings on the back, or a duplex on the back. And she's also incorporating some co-living in that. So she's really maxing out the value and the return on this property. Now, for anyone that's in our community, our Wonder Women, Jo's actually going to break down the numbers and the whole, ins and outs of this project in a case study tonight. But today we're just going to be talking about the reno. And the thing about renovating these types of projects is you need to adjust your budget to the sort of strategy and the location of the property and so on. So, if you were doing a straight flip, you would be doing a different type of reno. But on this one, it's very budget challenged. And so we're going to be brainstorming some ways to get a good outcome and spend money in the right places without going overboard. So welcome, Jo. So how are you feeling about getting this on the market? It's pretty exciting.
Oh, it's good. Like, it's a necessity. And I've been looking at photos of the property. I've owned it for 16 years. So that's a long time. Like, time flies, right? So I bought this as part of a land banking strategy, which I've clearly utilized. And the property, I've only ever been inside it twice. On all that time, it's been almost consistently rented out, and it's tired. It needs a lift. And because I own the property at the rear, and that's not going to change anytime soon, I want to give it a substantial lift so that I'm attracting, obviously, as a seller, top price. But I want the future tenants or the future owners to be people that are going to be my neighbours that I want to have as well. So ultimately, it's, bringing it back into 2024 life and making the old girl look prettier, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, look, I completely agree with that. And while it is a low socioeconomic area, you sort of need to figure out whether you're going to be selling to an owner-occupier or an investor. Do you have any idea?
It's a real one of those areas. It's really a 50-50 potential here. This is an entry-level property for owner-occupiers and first-time buyers, and it also would serve a investor quite well so it's a tricky one. But what I'm seeing in the marketplace is there's probably more leaning towards it being an owner-occupier at this current point.
Yeah, so if that was the case, I think that we should really work on, for want of another word, the prettiness, because we know that women buy properties, and doesn't matter what like even if they're not the person signing the dotted line, they're the ones that make that emotional decision about a property. And so you want to appeal to women. And so that, you know, we need a little bit of a romantic concept around it. Now, of course, the first thing that Jo did was she checked out the comparables, you know, similar. And there's really only one that is really comparable in terms of land size. It's a bit hard to see, Jo, but and for those who are listening on the podcast, we do have some images. So if you want to shoot over to YouTube, and I know for anyone watching live, that may not sound like a relevant comment, but this will be going up in the podcast and also onto YouTube when it's edited. So if you want to see what we're talking about, you can head over there. Now, yeah, have you got any backyard? It looks very tight.
Yeah. So what's the white awning on the back of that is all backyard there. So if I think the awning's quite significant.
Okay, so you do have a reasonable backyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, being it's Brisbane based, you know, long hot summers, I don't mind updating or doing some upgrades to that awning, but I wouldn't want to remove it entirely because it does provide a nice outdoor, and because it's a small footprint of a house, it's nice to have an indoor-outdoor flow as well.
Absolutely. So the one property that you sent to me that sold recently for $555, I noticed that that's quite a bit bigger. Is that correct?
It's got two stories, but downstairs is a legal height. Laundry's outdoors. Yeah, there's a really weird lean-to that's been attached to the property, probably not council approved. And then they've got doors that lead out to certain depth so it makes absolutely no sense. And when you really look into the photos, you can see it's probably, you know, not the greatest caliber of build integrity.
Yeah.
The land size on that one's also slightly smaller. I think I've probably got 50 to 60 square meters more land on mine. So functionality, I think, even though it's a modest property, I do think I can give it a little bit of cottage charm and appeal, which the other one certainly lacked. That Mission Brown, I mean, what were people thinking?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
You know, Mission Brown's coming back in, don't you, Jo?
Oh, I don't know, man. It's just, you know, I don't mind that color scheme, that's like earthy tones and oranges and things like that, but just a poo brown facade just doesn't do it for me. That's not this house. This one's just got an ugly, tired, weather-beaten light blue facade. However, yeah, look, it's instant street appeal, and that's, you know, I'm looking for. So when I've been thinking about my budget, I think my first thing I need to do is obviously improve its street appeal and paint the roof again. Everything needs a paint and a lift on the exterior. But inside as well, I can't ignore the fact that it's been, well, I mean, when I bought the property, it wasn't new. So it really does need new kitchen, new bathroom.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start working up a budget, or have you already started that?
No. So for those of you listening, you know, I was talking to Bernadette about this and she cut me short and said, let's just do this all live. So you're putting me in the hot seat. I don't have any. I've got no homework behind the scenes other than knowing what has to be done and what would be good to do.
Beautiful. Well, so in terms of, let's start with the roof because we're looking at it. Yeah. And I'll move on to your wish list in a minute. So I was thinking between 3,000 and 4,000 to get that painted.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's the quotes that I have seen previously. 4,000 probably. Yeah.
So, and so have you started thinking about colours?
Discussed that this morning with my gorgeous husband. I wouldn't mind matching the house at the rear, like that surf mist finish.
Yeah. Is that surf mist?
I think it is, yeah, from memory.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't mind that look. And yeah, I think just light and bright, really.
Yeah. So just a good point to remember is when you are engaging the painter to paint the roof. So with roof paint, they have reflective values. Okay. Have you had that experience?
You know, because I'm building in Sydney also, I know my local council won't allow me to do certain colours and reflective paints because
Oh,
of
really?
flight paths.
Wow. That's
Yeah, so
interesting.
that predicted what
Yeah.
colour roof line I had.
So you shouldn't have that problem there. And surf mist is highly reflective, which is really good from a energy point of view. So I would get that detail from the painter and get that into your sales material. So when you're listing out what's included in the sale,
Yeah,
you know, it's a selling point.
absolutely.
And I think surf mist is a good colour. Okay, so let's move on. And so just the little wish list you gave me, new front fence, remove the trees, make allocation for off-street parking, paint the roof and the house, completely agree. Front deck needs replacing. Hope it doesn't need fully replacing, because when you said replacing, did you mean just the decking or did you mean the joists as well?
Joyce might be okay, but everything else you can just see it's been really seriously weathered. And I've done some TLC over the years, but I do think it needs balustrade, and so I don't know how much I can rectify and what
When
really
you
needs.
say, what sort of signs are there that it's weathered? Like,
It's had it. I
is it
think some of
breaking
the
down?
balustrade, yeah. You know, it's rickety. It's just yeah, it's tired. So the joists I might be able to get away with.
Okay, so let's think about that. So it doesn't look overly big. Is it big?
No, so when I was, it's funny. I was actually looking at photos, deep diving this morning, because I've hardly ever really been on site. So it's got a
Yeah.
front door and then a double sliding glass door that comes onto that deck. So it's not enormous. You might even have room for a chair to sit out there, but it's not like a chair table and you can easily walk around it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's not that far off the ground either. So it's not like it's an engineering feat. It's just about making it's safe, and your first impression of the house really
yeah,
will be at that entry.
yeah. And so I was thinking that if you're going to build a balustrade, you want to try and start the romantic story there. Maybe you build something, with crisscross members in it. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I hadn't actually never thought of it like that. Yeah.
So I might go off and find you something on Pinterest, but see, that will immediately like change the way the house looks at the front, because at the moment that balustrade is just horizontal timbers. Actually, we'll go and have a look at that. Oh, that's the fencing. Yeah, so you've just got those horizontal timbers. I should have found a picture beforehand, but yeah, I would definitely do something like that to pretty it up.
Yeah, this is the best recent photo I could get on Google Earth for you, so I
I
apologize.
did
I
exactly
actually
the same, trying to find it. Yeah. But that's okay. So we need to figure out a color scheme for this. Have you got any ideas?
I really want it to be white.
All
So
white?
Greg and I were
Oh,
discussing monument as an end versus surf mist, but look, I just want to make it really nice and clean. The selling agent, who I know very well, her recommendation is to get rid of the shrubs and the trees around. And from this image, for those of you who are looking at the image, it's completely fenced around it now. But it's not a bad front yard. So, I don't mind getting rid of that shrub and those trees. I mean, they're starting to damage the fence as well. They're sort of taken over a little bit. So I'd clean that right back and make the house more the hero than what you're seeing at the moment, which
yeah.
looks very, very sad.
And does that include the palms at the front?
Yeah, unfortunately, because that'd be where I'd bring an off-street parking space too.
Right in front of the balustrade, though.
Oh, I don't know how else I can get a car off the street. Again, I feel like I need to go and have a look at it, because it could
Yeah.
potentially come in at the rear.
So you can't get another crossover in?
No, because you can see those stormwater drains are there and they continue along. So
Okay.
that's my challenge with that because it does actually continue the whole way along.
Okay, so that means that's going to be right in front of the veranda.
It is, I know. Look, it's not an ideal scenario. Apparently, the tenants are currently parking on the footpath as well.
And were you planning to build a carport?
Yes, yes, at the very least, and this again is word of the local sales agent, who she's got a massive market share in the area. In Queensland, people do want their cars to be covered because it's so hot. But also, she said at the very least, do a shade sale. And she said do it at the 11th hour so that if the tenants have moved out, the property's all ready to go and it's in its best light as well. So, mind you, then if it does get weathered, again, I still own the property at the rear, so I don't really want to have a ratty shade sale next door as well. So that's another consideration of where I would actually put that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for a sale.
No, you'd do something more structured.
I would buy a kit carport.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, probably there's not a lot of point in doing a fancy balustrade. You might be better to do something, maybe, which way does the house face?
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that. I've never thought about it. It's hot in every angle.
Hot every angle. I was
Yeah.
wondering whether putting some awnings over those windows just for cuteness, like to get some, striped awnings, to get some character into it, because it's going to be hard to do anything on the other side. In terms of the fence, I noticed that a lot of houses along there don't have a front fence.
Yeah, so I was actually wondering about whether I do leave it off altogether, just in terms of another cost saving.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's money you've got to spend that you might not need to spend, but you probably need to have a little conversation with your agent, because unfortunately, it's not an overly cheap exercise. If you want to put something nice there, if you want to put Colorbond, it's about 16 meters or 17 meters. You're looking at a few $1,000s to put a fence up.
Yeah.
And you don't really want a Colorbond. So then if you want to go for, like, I had a look at those aluminium pickets. They're nice, but still quite expensive. Materials alone would be probably about $2,500. Yeah.
Timber fence all around at the moment. Like there's a brand new timber fence because the property at the rear only finished in December. So it's 6 months old. So everything, all the other fencing, apart from what you're seeing on this image now, is all fresh and new and quite, in great condition. So this also stands out dramatically. So it's also, I wanted to know, would you recommend painting a fence to make it all cohesive so it's all one color? Is there a benefit of doing that?
The fence that's there?
Well, not necessarily the one that we're looking at, but if I was to clear up around this particular house and therefore on the side you can see the old fence and the rear there's a new fence, would it make greater sense for me, or I don't know if it's, money worth spending, to actually paint it all so it's all one color?
I'd have to see a photo. I
need to see a photo because the trees hide it so much. I don't even know when we pull those trees down what's there.
Yeah. I think if the new fence, I wouldn't really worry about that. I'd be more, if you've got existing fence and it's looking like, it would be nice to have it all uniform, but you've got a limited amount of money to spend and you want to make sure that everything you spend, you need to spend. So I think I'd probably get those trees chopped down and then look at it then. You do need to make a decision about this front one. The other thing is when you come, what colour do you paint it? Really, I don't know that you really want to paint the fence white. And if you're going all white in the house, like I certainly think external fences look better if they're a dark colour because you have that foliage against the fence. But a good alternative to that is just the natural timber that it already is. So, yeah.
It may not be one of those priorities that is sort of if there's budget remaining, but I don't think it's going to be a selling feature of the property itself.
Yeah. So yes, you need to make a decision whether you are going to put up a front fence or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, and tidy up those trees. So if you pull out, oh, actually, if you're putting a carport in the front, yeah, it's going to be hard, isn't it, but there'll be a gap between that and the house, will there?
Yeah, there will. What's generally speaking, a carport kit? What would you be looking at for something like
About
that?
3,500, 4,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. So is it going to be a single or a double?
I'd probably go with a single.
Okay. Yeah, so they're saying about 2,000, but you want to spend a bit of money on prettying it up as well.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm thinking if you were to put a carport there, you would probably put some slats on the street side
Yeah,
and
yeah,
paint them
yeah,
to match the house.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you're also going to have to put a driveway in, like into the
I
carport.
know. So, okay, so with that, I actually did ask originally when they're doing the new driveway if we could get something off, but it was bedlam during the last
Yeah.
year with construction. Like just, it was just too much, and I just needed to get the house finished and get it on the market for tenancy in the end. So what I mean, is there other ways around it, like decomposed granite and other options that could be a little bit cheaper than doing a proper concrete?
Yeah, you can do like compacted granite, the rocks. I just don't know a price. So we did that. I wasn't really happy with what the guy ended up doing in Wynnum. The aggregate was too big and it was
Yeah.
more like a gravel driveway. But yeah, you can. And I just can't put a price on it at the moment.
Yeah. Because it is
Okay.
something that, yeah, I'm curious as to what other options there might be. Because I personally don't know that I'd want to live with something like that myself, but this is literally for the purpose of selling it so that it
Yeah.
looks good, serves its function initially,
Yeah.
and the next owner can make that option about putting a proper concrete through. Yeah.
I'm just looking it up online. Decomposed granite driveway. To be honest with you, I think it will be fine. We'll just have to get some quotes on it. So I think that you probably need to allow about 4,000 for your carport,
Yeah.
2,000 purchase, and another 2,000 for the putting it up and the putting some rails on the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you had any quotes on painting yet?
No, I haven't. I'm not. The reason for that is that the tenants have got a lease until the end of October. So I don't want to interrupt them too much as
Yeah.
it gets closer, because I need to give them 2 months notice that the lease won't be renewed.
Yeah.
I don't want to trigger them this early with them panicking about having to move. I'm really aware of the housing scenario at the moment with renters. So I want to give them as long as they need or want to
Yeah.
move on. But I don't
Yeah.
want to harass them too much whilst they're living there.
That's fair enough. Okay.
So no, I haven't. I could probably get a drive-by quote realistically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I will need to paint inside. So it may serve me better if I got someone to quote, knowing that they're going to get both inside and and externally as well.
Yeah. So I think you'll probably find that, yeah. So I think inside and out should be about 2 weeks work.
Yeah, okay.
So
Including the bathroom?
sorry?
Oh, is this just painting?
Yeah.
Okay. No, so I
Sorry.
thought including doing the kitchen and bathroom. I was like, whoa.
Like if you have a team with 2 or 3 painters, they'll do it in a few days. But
Yeah.
if you just have a sole painter, it'll be about I'm just trying to work out money-wise what
Yeah,
it's
for
gonna.
sure.
And
The
so
other
let's say you pay the painter 600 a day, might get it for 500 maybe. Because often when you're on a budget, often it's cheaper to pay the painter on a daily or an hourly rate and just buy the paint. Because if you bring a company into quote, they're gonna have to allow for overheads and profit margin and all that. So, but if you're on a really tight budget, But it does depend whether you're going to be there or not, whether you're going to supervise the work or not, because if the painter goes feral. So
Yeah, look, I mean, I won't be hands-on on a daily basis with that. Like, and I've got someone I can have come and supervise. But the other thing I've got to be mindful of is if the tenants don't move out until the lease expiry, which is approximately the 25th of October, I'm got to be really careful about how long I take to get it back on the market, because I'd like to have a campaign running for a pre-Christmas sale. And I don't want to go to market on the 8th of December. You know, I want to make sure that I'm up and running and ready before everybody puts, down their buying interest until after Australia Day. So that's, the general momentum. I want to make sure I don't mind paying a slight premium to get a squad of painters through to get them in and out quickly for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much, what's the weekly rent on this?
$420.
Okay, so a month's rent is $1,200. I think you should get them out earlier.
Well, they're entitled to stay, but yes, I can give them notice earlier. I mean, not sorry, they're entitled to stay, but when I give them notice, I could say, if you find somewhere else, you're welcome to leave. And to legally give them up until that date. It needs to be a valid reason.
Yeah, I'd be getting really organised, and just in case they do leave earlier, because as soon as they find somewhere, they'll go. And because like the end of October is almost too late.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you get this done in 3 weeks, probably 4, but let's say 3. So you're almost to the end of November for a campaign.
Yeah.
And then you start your campaign. What's the average days on market in that area? Do you know?
Nothing. Like everything's going like hotcakes.
Okay.
Yeah. 10 days would be a long time to sell a house in that area.
Okay. All right. Well, then that's okay. So no, let's not worry about that.
Yeah. It's just the demand and the pressure, and it's an established area, so it's got, good shops and schools nearby, etc. And what we're looking at here is a really tired house that's been in the sun for too long without a touch up. So I think if we did give it a little bit of a cottage charm and behind now, but it's got the new fence line, it's got the house that lives behind it, but it's still on 420 square meters, I think.
Okay.
So it's still not the worst size footprint for a property, and inside's only 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. So I mean, I'm capped at what that is, but the kitchen itself has got like it's kind of weirdly enclosed, like a design.
I saw that.
It's odd. I would be opening all that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't got a floor plan, but I think we can sort that out. So I think painting is going to be a reasonably big ticket item.
Yeah, I know it's an expensive one these days.
Yeah, it used to be one of the cheapest trades, but these days it's yeah.
And I don't want to do
it. Pardon?
I said, and I don't want to do it.
So what color did you paint it when you first painted it? Do you remember?
Oh, it was some variation of white. I couldn't tell you what sort though. It's always been white inside. Yeah.
I was thinking you might get away with 1 coat. How long has it been since it's been painted?
Maybe 2017. Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Anyhow, so one thing, we won't get onto that yet. So how are we going? So we've got $4,000 for the roof, $4,000 for the carport. That's 8,000.
Yeah.
Now, if your carport is really close to the house, I don't know that I'll be spending a huge amount of money on that balustrade. Does it require a balustrade? Like, is it like more than 900 off the ground?
It could be not much more, but it could be a meter. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then yes, it does.
You wouldn't, if anyone's in there with a toddler or something. I think it's pushing the boundary a little bit.
Okay. So let's allow, say, 4,000 for that.
Yeah.
It's for the fixing of the deck and the sorting out the balustrade. so will you need to re-turf, or will the lawn tidy itself up?
I think when I see the trees back, and if we are putting in like the driveway, I'll
Yeah.
see just how scrappy it might appear. Because it also, that time of year when we sell it, it'll be hot and dry,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
probably won't be looking at its finest, to be honest.
Yeah. So, forgot, let's put 5,000 in for the driveway.
I reckon I spend about 8% of my day opening up doors for dogs.
Oh, I know.
The doors, if they want in, they want out. There's two of them. So in winter.
I know. Yeah. So basically I have sectioned off a room for me because I just could not work in the chaos. And like someone said to me yesterday, why don't you go and stay in a hotel for a while? And I could not think of anything worse than toing and froing between two different locations. So I've just decided I've got to find something that works. So here we are. Okay. Oh, I'll check. Now, if you're watching and you want to put your 2 bobs worth in, we'd love to hear your ideas. So, have we gone through all the things? So the fence we're just holding by for now.
Yeah.
Once you get some quotes on some of the things that we've talked about, it'll give you some idea, like you might have some savings that you can. What's it going to cost to get these shrubs cut down?
Not too much, I don't think. I mean, look, we haven't got that on the list, is it? I don't know. I might suggest, I don't know, what do you think? 2, maybe 2?
Yeah, put 2 in. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Actually, your slide number 3 will actually show the new fence line. You can see it's a little prettier on the side. It looks a little bit more lively.
Yeah, it's very tidy.
Yeah, it does. It looks a lot better than the Google Earth one that was pre-construction. So,
So you're going to have to open that up and put gates on it too.
That's what I would like to do. I think having an off-street parking allocation would be a big difference. It's a big ticket item for resale.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can fit it in at the rear with the decking, the awning at the back. So that's not a no, but I'm not quite sure. I could have a look at that.
Okay. So I'm just wondering whether you can take the car right across the front and park it on the other side.
That's what I was thinking when we were talking before. Like that's exactly what I was thinking. So it keeps that front area open up, but
and that might work. It means you've got a longer drive. Do you remember the old-fashioned ones where they used to just have the tracks for the wheels?
Yeah, like with the grass in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so typical suburban finish on a driveway. Yeah.
Maybe. Anyhow, we'll hold fire on that. Now let's go to the inside.
Okay, so this is
go on.
This is standing in the kitchen, and it's funny looking at these photos. Just a little bit of elbow grease wouldn't go astray with some of the handles. But you can see this kitchen's fully enclosed for whatever reason, and I would open it up. The ceilings are actually quite nice, like it would be.
They are.
Yeah.
I think this really lends itself to a really cute little cottage.
Yeah, but I do think that kitchen needs to be completely torn down and start all over again.
Okay, so let's just move on. So I was thinking remove this wall.
Yeah.
Keep the other one because I'd suspect it's load bearing. This has to go.
And that can be just an island bench, maybe with just there that what we're looking at, that picture on the right-hand side. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good look.
Okay, so let's talk about the bathroom first, because I think that that's easier to tackle. To be honest with you, I think you need a new vanity, obviously.
Yeah.
Why do vanities always go? Because that's new since you went in there, isn't it?
But it looks horrendous. The actual top of it, when I zoomed in earlier on another image, I went, oh, that's held up all right, but the drawers and everything are just shonky. I don't know why. It looks like they've got a dryer or something in there. But there's a separate laundry, but maybe they just haven't done a wall mounted dryer in the laundry. But yes, separate toilet.
Yeah.
So
So the toilet, I just paint it.
Yeah.
It's tidy enough. You're not going to get any more for a new toilet. So I would spray the bathroom.
yes,
Uh,
you can spray it. A new shower screen.
yeah, new shower screen, which you'll buy off the shelf and just get a handyman to install it. New towel rail, new taps, new vanity. I think you could get away with those floor tiles. But if you decide you can't, just tile straight over them.
Yeah.
Get a mirror, go to Kmart and buy a shaped mirror, either an arched one. They've got wavy ones, all sorts of things. You want to, it needs to be a bit nice.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wouldn't buy the cheapest, nastiest vanity. I'd spend a few $100s on it and get something that's a bit nicer because, it's highly visible and it just sends, when you've got things like that are really, really cheap and nasty looking, the renter's vanity, it just tells the story that everything in here is cheap. But just a little bit more on that, I think, is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you're better to spend the money on the vanity than new floor tiles. If those tiles are intact, yeah.
Okay. It's that there's even with the kitchen, it's kind of got that beigey yellow facade that just looks like it's dated. So I mean, not only is that not salvageable, but it's just that color is horrible. So
It's horrible. Yeah. So yeah, I think that with some new fittings and a shower screen, Highgrove have got a 20% off sale at the moment, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can really make a big difference. The other thing you mentioned is window dressing. I wouldn't worry about window dressing. The only ones I'd do it on is the front windows.
Okay. So just dress it up with some new curtains on those front windows.
Yeah. 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 You want to spend the money on the things that are going to make a difference. So let's think about that. So it'll cost you about $2,500 to spray it.
Okay.
And I think you'll need a handyman for a couple of days to replace the vanity and the mirror and the screen and the bits and pieces. So that'll be like, let's say, $500 a day.
Okay.
So another $1,000 for that. And then we'll just need to look up and see what it's going to cost you to buy your bits and pieces, your vanity and so on. So you should go close to getting it out of $5,000.
Okay. That's not too bad. That's probably
kinder
than I was expecting.
That's provided that my prices haven't moved on too much because, it's been a while since I've been in Queensland. So now Vivian Halliday shared with me her handyman. He is expensive, but he's a flipping legend.
Yeah.
He gets through a huge amount of work in a day and does good quality work. He can remodel anything. So I don't know whether he's still around, but he would be a good person to get on that job.
Yeah, fantastic. Because I know pulling the kitchen to pieces as well, that's something that, I've got a couple of spare sons I could chuck up into.
Yeah.
Off you go with dad on a little project weekend. Someone's got to stay in Sydney and hold up the fort. But I'm more than happy to get rid of them for a couple of days. But I think it's really good.
Are you serious about that?
Yeah, dead set. No, I've actually discussed that. And also one of my sons ultimately is interested in going into carpentry and doing building, going in construction. So I think it'd be a good hands-on experience for him as well.
Yeah, well, that's great because that could be a huge saving. They could certainly do the demo.
Yeah, they'll probably enjoy it too. But I'm scared about what you're going to quote me though for that kitchen. If we did measure it up and did a caboodle. Would you recommend a caboodle?
I hate caboodle, just
You hate it?
say.
There you go.
But
There's
I've got a
easy
few
to
other
follow.
options. I've got a few other options. Like I personally think, even though IKEA is like odd sizes, I think IKEA is much better. I was talking to someone up there the other day because down here we have Trademaster, which does a an okay kitchen. Like Kathleen Frederick uses them all the time. She gets fantastic prices for her properties, and they've got these like very simple Trademaster kitchens in them. We need to think about that. What's it going to cost to get rid of the wall? So actually, no, but if the boys do the demo, then we've just got the make good.
It does look like it's, just some manual labor. I don't think it's going to be that hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Open
Mind
it
you,
up.
it might cost you quite a bit to feed them while they're doing all this, because it'll spike their appetite.
Either way, it costs me a lot to feed them anyway. They're hollow legs with good metabolisms, lucky things. So with the IKEA, I've been told that if you've got the measurements, it's really good to go in, measure it all up. They get it flat packed to you because we've got a trailer.
Yeah.
Obviously someone needs to be able to be on site to do a proper measure up, but that's something that could be done in advance of tenants actually vacating as well.
Yeah. It might be IKEA. I'll do a bit of research. Like there's lots of little companies that do flat packs as well.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't assume IKEA's not that cheap anymore.
Okay.
Like it really does add up. Like a kitchen like that probably costs you close to 10 grand.
Ouch.
Yeah. So the only thing about IKEA is you can get it straight away. Like Bunnings, if you don't want gloss white, you've always got to wait.
Yeah.
But you can get it straight away, and they have some quite cute, like nice designs. And if you're taking that wall out, you'll have slightly less joinery to put in. But then are you putting the same appliances back in?
I think if I can try and keep it so that plumbing's where the plumbing is, and I'd be replacing the appliances, but I can't remember if I've got a dishwasher or not there.
So if you've got a RenoSave card, you can go online and get a package from appliances online for $1,500. I'm pretty sure that's stove, cooktop, oven, cooktop, range hood, and dishwasher.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is see if I can find a good secondhand kitchen. You'd probably have to bring it down from Brisbane, but you can, like, I looked at one yesterday in Sydney. Seriously, it would have been, when it first went in, it would have been close to 100,000. It was massive. It was, half stainless steel and half solid timber. And it had, that German brand of fridges, Lieber, is it? It had 3 of those in it. It had 2 Miele dishwashers. It had, is it Gagagnow ovens?
Guggenau or something like, there's
And
they're
like
pulling this out.
They're pulling it out, and they wanted $3,000 for it because they'd had it. Because seriously, it was so massive, it was a major exercise. And when I went there, this poor builder was looking at me like, please take it. So I said to him, when are you starting? And he said, on Wednesday. So he wanted it gone by Wednesday. So I thought, if I can use it, I'll say to him, I won't pay for it, but I'll pay for the removal. Had this thumping big 60mm stone bench top. But I thought, I just can't face. I have not got the capacity for that much joinery, so I let it go.
Oh wow, though, what a find.
Yeah,
but it's out there. I know I've gotten rid of 2 kitchens in the past, and one someone paid to remove, and that was about 10 years old at the time. But I had a really ugly one that they were going to charge me, I think going back again, 2012 era, about $400 to gut it and remove it. And I wound up on Gumtree. Someone came and took it for free, so at least it got reutilised, that didn't bother me at all. But in a property like this, being mindful of costs, what would you do for the kitchen benches?
I would definitely do, well, if you bought a second-hand kitchen, you may well get stone.
Yeah.
But otherwise I would probably do Laminex.
Yeah.
There's some good, like, I quite like the wood grain one.
Yeah. Knew it looks
There's
good.
some good, you just cannot justify, spending 3,000 on a, that's the other thing. Kathleen, a lot of the time does Laminex benches as well.
Yeah, right.
So
that wouldn't go astray in this location, in terms of expectation. Yeah.
no, but I think the fact that it's nice and new and clean will will go a long way in terms of the kitchen, and just get that. Are you going to furnish it? But see, if you get a kitchen, like, it's not, you should be able to get a kitchen for $500, maybe $1,000. I'm just going to have a look online. Don't
Is
think I
it
looked at.
tricky to get it to match up to the existing footprint?
Well, because you're taking a wall out, that opens up a lot more opportunity. So it's possible. You may not be able to do it, but I would give it a red hot go. And as you've got the time, so where am I? Okay, so I'm going to say kitchen. Let's see
Well, that
what's.
one, you got a full kitchen just there for $2,000. It looked all
Yeah,
right.
but that was Sydney, I think, wasn't it?
I could chuck it in the trailer and drive it up north of the border.
Well, if you're going to buy it in Sydney, you will definitely get a kitchen. No doubt about it. Because I've been looking at a few, and it just blows my mind. Let me see if I can show you some of the ones I've been looking at. So there was a Hamptons one the other day. Let's look at this. Only what's in the photo, that's not good enough. So often people selling new kitchens put them into, so you don't really know. I reckon that's a new kitchen person.
Yeah. Wow.
If I can't find it. Oh, there was another, now I can't.
It's crazy the opportunities that are out there for renovators though, isn't it? Like, just in terms of
I know.
one person's job, another person's treasure. And if you've got, it's worth paying that handyman, your daily rate to get it to.
Yeah.
Kitchen's
So
brand new, and like your bougie standards are expensive products.
they are. No, we don't like that. Okay, I'll have a look afterwards, but there was a white Hamptons one for 5,000. And like, it'd been on the market for a while, so if it was still on the market, I'd be making them an offer.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, your husband's obviously much more tolerant than mine. If I suggested we buy a kitchen, put it in a trailer and drive it somewhere, he would have 40 fits.
I think Greg's always a half glass, half full approach to life. So he'll probably get halfway to Brisbane and hate his life, but he's enthusiastic on the outs to start.
That's cool.
So I'll just ride that wave of enthusiasm and look at if you've got kids and you can, utilize them, and it'd be a fun project. I think it'd be, the boys are 15, the older two are 15 and 17. So, I think
especially having boys, they've got muscles.
And look, I mean, I'm mindful of, your time as well, but I just thought, in rounding up, in terms of now I want to Google things on Facebook, but what about flooring? What's your recommended fundamental flooring, like a floating floorboard?
A timber floor, I would sand it and seal it.
I don't know if it's timber or if it's floating. But yeah, otherwise that's the other option, right?
If it's floating, I would sand it. I would just replace it with floating. And so we use a product which is really good. It's laminate, but seriously, you could never tell. And it's $27 a square meter. And I got it sent down to Victoria for a chuka. It cost me $300. But if you're taking the trailer, you might be able to fit that in as well. And yeah, it's the cheapest flooring you'll get, and it's good quality. It's 12 mil thick, got a really good substance.
Yeah. yeah, it's got to get this, pretty, so it makes sense for the next buyer. They can then go and do other things. But I mean, the fundamentals of living there and enjoying it, or just renting it out, if you're an investor, is done.
Yeah. So let's go back and look at our budget.
Yeah.
So what are we up to? Are you?
So when I was keeping my tally, I've got the arborist, the roof paint, the carport, the deck to be fixed and balustrade fixed up, a driveway. So at that calculation, we've got 12, 14, 19 so far on that one.
Yeah.
Moving inside, let's just say 2.5 for the bathroom.
No, we need 5 for the bathroom.
5, sorry. I was looking at the bathroom spray number. So there's 5 for the bathroom, 5 for the kitchen.
I would put 10 in for the kitchen, because you've got labor, you've got to make good that wall, you've got, if you get a secondhand kitchen, you might be able to chop that right back, but let's just leave it at 10 for now. Got to put new appliances in.
Yeah. Okay. So that's 19 and 15. And then I do need new flooring. The carpet, I might be able to, depends on how worn it is, I guess, over time. And it's just, your cheap rental standard carpet, which isn't that obscene to replace as well. But I'm at 34 before I've talked about flooring. And the window
have you got painting in there though? Have we got
what, sorry? Painting? No. I've got the roof painting only.
Okay.
So 34 plus internal paint.
Yeah.
Plus flooring, new carpet. There'd be a few pluses, but I guess I've got some element of time up my sleeve where I can start to look out for, Kmart curtains, like things that are really, you asked me before about to furnish it or not as well. So I don't know.
I definitely think you need to style it.
Style it, yeah.
Because we know that styling adds about 10%.
Yeah, that's an incredible lift, isn't it?
Yeah, and you could do it yourself if you're going to be there. So how I would do it is I'd get quotes on it actually. And if you're doing it yourself, like I use Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree and whatever, but a few pieces I buy new, and things like the dining setting, if I can't get something, I would buy that. I generally buy it from Temple and Webster, and you need a decent sofa. You don't have to have a lot of furniture, but you do need furniture and you need artwork. And if you're taking the trailer up, I can lend you some. And but then I sell it for 70%. So basically I have the receipts there, say it's been bought to style, and usually have no problem getting your price back. So that's by far the cheapest way to do it, but it just depends whether you've got the bandwidth, and I suspect that you won't have.
Yeah, that's the word, isn't it? Yeah, just having that momentum. So, you know what, worst comes to worst, if the furniture is something that, it's gifted, or I give it away, or marketplace or whatever. So that, or the property manager that I've worked with for years and years, she may want to have that, so she'll have someone that will want it. So look, it's one of those things, I can make a buck from it, but how much time and energy do I want to put into it myself? But we're probably at 50,000, I think, realistically. Yeah.
I do too. But once you've got that, then you can work at chipping away at those figures and seeing if you can get them down.
Yeah.
But
you know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to get it valued, and then I'm going to pull the equity out of it and keep it and buy another house. No, I don't. I have to sell it. I have to move it on. It's happened before where I've had that intention, and then the market moved. In fact, the market in this area has moved so much, and with my intention of selling previously, and then I was just able to, draw down on equity and keep the property. So
what do you think you'd get for it? Would the rent go up?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely under rented at the moment. It's also a little bit of a legacy pricing, because these tenants have been there for a long time. When they first rented the property, they had full use of 1,042 square meters. Then they lost 600 of square meters. The rent didn't go down. I gave them a week, I think, grace as a thank you, but then they lived construction site down. They lost their car spot. There was a shed there again during lockdown from my desktop in Sydney. I put the picture of the shed on Gumtree. Someone said, yep, they'll come and dismantle it. They did so over 2 days and put $400 in my account for the privilege.
Wow.
So, yeah. So yeah, it's currently it is definitely under rented at the moment.
Let's just, before we go, I'm just going to look up the stats for the area. You probably already know them, just what it's been doing. Okay, so 21 it went up 12.7%.
In
22
24,
it went up 39%. 23 it dropped 3.3. 24 it's gone up to May. It's gone up 25.2%.
buoyant.
So let's say that's worth 600,000. 25% is 150,000.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share with you my little secret weapon for finding out what's going to happen in the next couple of years. I'm going to do that off screen. And I think you should get that report because you might be throwing away a lot of money.
It's one of those things that you got it all looking nice and then you're like, oh, because the rent will go up a couple, at least I'd say $200, $300.
Yeah. So if you were getting, let's say, $750 a week for that, does that change the scenario?
It probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you feel empowered?
I really do. It's really given me, and it's also making me realize I'm not just throwing, this is what number I think I need. I feel like it's a lot more structured. I had not considered things like the carport and actually bringing that carport to the other side of the front of the house. And yeah, like absolutely. And even just looking at kitchens on Marketplace, and maybe the starting and the planning of all this can start now, even though I've been using the end of October as my benchmark. I will potentially give those tenants notice a little bit ahead of time so that they may well choose to leave earlier. So they've been really good tenants, but unfortunately the property itself, it needs to be maintained. Otherwise I'm going to have bigger costs to bear.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope our listener has got value out of this rambling.
This is the She Renovates podcast. To discover how to harness the power of renovating, check out theschoolofrenovating.com.